All right, let's take a look at this. Chapter 15 homework. It's in week 11 of coursework. I'm just going to go through this multiple choice test. What is this? Due on April 12th. I think that's Tuesday, right? It's at 11:59 p.m. I'm beginning. Yeah. Question number 1. A White House proposal to increase infrastructure spending on roads, rail lines, and runways is an example of, and again, this is what happened in the 2009, trying to fix that recessionary problem we were having. This is an expansionary fiscal policy, of course. Doesn't contradiction. Basically, want to spend more money. Didn't want to increase taxes. Not automatic. We're going with the automatic stabilizers. I don't even know what insourcing policies means. But question 2: a federal budget, boom, occurs when the federal government spends more than it collects in taxes. And again, this has been your whole lifetime, just about. This is when you have a deficit, right? Where we spend more than we take in. It'll be probably the rest of my lifetime, too. Fine. An increase in federal budget deficit resulting from a recession can actually help stabilize an economy through transfer payments, right? Again, transfer payments in a simple way, think about unemployment insurance. Because an increase in the budget deficit will increase transfer payments, right? Because again, there's more money spent for unemployment insurance. And thereby, it will give income to people in households and increase their income. So it's increase is one we're looking for question 3. So this is what automatically happens when a recession happens. Of course, there's going to be more spending on food stamps because more people are laid off, and it's going to increase budget deficits, these automatic stabilizers. Let's see, question 4. An inside leg is the time period it takes for the stabilizing policies to take effect after they've been implemented. Inside lags are before, so this is false. So again, inside and outside lags. This is again what the Hayek, Austrian economists say. It's the problem of government trying to stimulate an economy where it's hard to figure out when to stimulate the economy, when's the exact time, and then it's unpredictable how long it takes for a policy to go into effect. It's too complex, basically, the Hayek people, for government getting involved in doing these sort of fixing problems with some quick spending. All right, the estate and gift tax, right? Estate when you die. Gift tax, again, you can get a gift up to $10,000 a year, and it's tax-free. So this is what wealthy people do. They give their kids $10,000 a year to put into their trust funds. Again, you can give up, I think, $250,000. You can tax-free set up the fund, and then $10,000 after that. You can always have your aunts and uncles put money into your trust account, and then your parents give into the aunts and uncles' kids' trust funds. Those things are allowed too. But anyway, they're a very small portion of the total tax. They're a very small part, right? Collected by the federal government because they are levied on just large estates. Yeah, for the estate tax, again, you have to have $3 million or something. Everything over that is taxed. So that is true. It's a small part, estate tax. Should we get rid of it or not? The death tax, as the Republicans call it. Question 6. When the Obama administration succeeds with its effort to gain congressional approval for its stimulus proposal, it will still take time for these policies to actually work. I'm thinking outside lag here. The time it takes for these policies to work is known as, yes, it's an outside lag. Right? And again, if you do the when you do the Hayek and Keynes question on the final, again, Hayek would say, even if you implement a policy at the right time, it just sometimes takes too long to be in effect, where the economy is recovering and you're just adding on and creating another bubble. So government should stay out of this kind of behavior. Question 7. A huge increase in government spending and record low levels of unemployment during the Vietnam War. And this is true. This is a war that they cut taxes actually during the Vietnam War. The government spent a lot more money. led to policymakers to fear that, again, there was a problem with inflation at this time. Um, so the first one, the economy is growing too fast, yeah, and would increase unemployment. That's silly, right? It's growing too fast, it's going to decrease unemployment. And the economy going too fast, and then it would increase inflation. And again, this was what happened. The economy kept growing in the 1960s, but eventually inflation came about in the 1970s, which was that more for the oil shocks in the 70s? It's up for debate. Question 8. The individual income tax, right? You pay this if you have a job. Every paycheck, the government takes money out of your pay. Sometimes if you pay too much, you get a refund at the end. It is the biggest part of the federal income, federal revenue, right? So it is the largest by far, your individual income tax. Special tax levied on earnings for Social Security and Medicare, right? You pay into your Social Security, right? And Medicare, so when you get older. Basically, this is the government forcing you to buy insurance, right? That's what it is. Social Security is like life insurance. Medicare is like health insurance for old people. So this is a social insurance program. Social, we all do it. Good or bad. Again, some Republicans hated that. And, FDR came up with Social Security in the 1930s. All right, question 10. Suppose the economy is operating below potential outputs, right? If policymakers try to avoid a budget deficit by raising taxes and reducing government spending, this is a bad thing to do, right? If you raise taxes, you're taking money out of people's pockets to buy things and helping GDP. If you reduce government spending, again, this would also have less money into the system. It would be not very good for the economy in the short run. So these things would, make a recession worse, right? If that was the case. So in the long run, would it be better? Yeah, I don't know. It's up for debate. Supply side, supply side economics. Again, we want to move that supply curve to the right, right? It will increase quantity, which increases GDP, but also lower prices if you can do that. So supply side motivated tax cuts of 1981 during the Reagan administration were aimed at, basically, they wanted to increase, of course it's the supply side, so just look for the ones that say supply, right? And of course it wants to tax cut, it's going to help it, so it's going to increase aggregate supply. It's too easy in a sense. Well, easy for me anyway. Using expansionary policies to combat a recession would, again, expansionary policies where you spend more, again, increase federal spending, increase government spending, decrease taxing is also a part of this. But the problem, if you do that, it's going to increase a budget deficit, right? Fine. Let's see. Last question here. What are the two tools of fiscal policy that governments can use to affect the level of aggregate demand? Again, fiscal policy is you tax people and then you spend the money, right? So it's government spending and taxation. That is your fiscal policies. Right? That's one way to deal with a recession. Next week we're going to talk about more what the Federal Reserve's role can be with monetary policy to work with a recession. All right, let me see. Let me save and submit, see if I got everything right. If not, I got to do this thing all over again. And I want to go trout fishing this afternoon. Let's see, what did I get? Dun, 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 dun. Doesn't it tell me what my score is here? I got to hit OK again. Yeah, 130 out of 130. I'm doing good. All right, so follow along with me. Shouldn't be any problem. I will see you on Monday. Do, 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 do.